Listen here and listen well, because what I'm about to tell you will change the way you see every single thing that happens to you for the rest of your natural life. You think you know when something good happens to you? You think you can spot bad luck the moment it arrives on your doorstep? Well, my friend, I've got news for you that'll knock you flatter than a bootlegger's alibi. Before this evening is through, you're going to learn the one truth that separates the wise from the foolish, the peaceful from the panicked, and the successful from those who spend their days crying over spilt milk. This isn't just another yarn to pass the time. This is the story that kings and paupers alike have carried in their hearts for centuries. This is wisdom so pure, so powerful, that once you hear it, truly hear it, you'll never be the same. So settle in, button your lip, and prepare yourself. Once upon a time, in a village so small it barely deserved a spot on any respectable map, there lived a farmer and his only son. Now this wasn't just any farmer, mind you. Old Chen, as the villagers called him, was as poor as a church mouse, but as content as a cat and cream. While his neighbors worked themselves into early graves, chasing after this advantage and that opportunity, Old Chen tended his small plot of land with steady hands and an unchanging expression. The villagers thought him peculiar, naturally. In an age when everyone was rushing headlong toward progress and prosperity, when the whole world seemed to be scrambling for more, Old Chen moved like molasses in January, slow, deliberate, and utterly unbothered by the frenzy around him. His son, a strapping young man of 18 summers, was cut from the same curious cloth. Where other young bucks would holler and carry on, this boy spoke in measured tones. Where others saw certainty, he saw only possibilities. Now, our story proper begins on a Tuesday morning in late spring, when Old Chen woke to discover that his only horse, a mare worth more than everything else he owned put together, had kicked down the fence during the night and run off into the hills. The neighbors descended upon his property like vultures to carrion. "Oh, what terrible luck!" cried Mrs. Wang, wringing her hands with the enthusiasm of someone who secretly delighted in others' misfortunes. "How will you plow your fields? How will you bring your goods to market? You're ruined, absolutely ruined." Mr. Huang shook his head gravely. "In all my 60 years, I've never seen worse fortune. That horse was your livelihood, Chen? This is a disaster." They gathered round, clucking and cooing, each one certain that they were witnessing the beginning of Old Chen's complete and utter downfall. But Old Chen, leaning against his fence post, merely stroked his weathered chin and said, "Maybe." "Maybe," they cried. "What do you mean, maybe? Your horse is gone. This is clearly bad luck." "Maybe," Old Chen repeated, and would say no more. The neighbors left shaking their heads, now more convinced than ever that Old Chen had finally lost what little sense he'd been born with. But here's where our story gets interesting, friends. Pay attention now. 3 days later, that runaway mare came trotting back down from the hills, and she didn't come alone, no sir. Behind her followed 12 wild horses, magnificent creatures with coats that shone like polished mahogany and eyes that blazed with untamed spirit. The same neighbors came running, stumbling over themselves in their hurry. "Old Chen!" they shouted. "What incredible luck! You've gone from 1 horse to 13. You're rich. Those wild horses are worth a fortune. This is the best thing that could have possibly happened to you." Mr. Huang, who just days before had predicted disaster, now slapped Old Chen on the back. "I always knew your fortune would turn. This is wonderful, absolutely wonderful." Mrs. Wang was already calculating. "Why, if you sell just half of those horses, you'll have enough money to last you years. What amazingly good luck." The villagers celebrated as if the good fortune were their own, dancing and carrying on something fierce. Old Chen watched the wild horses in his paddock, his expression unchanged as stone. "Maybe," he said. The neighbors' celebration faltered. "Maybe? Have you gone completely soft in the head? You've just become the richest man in the village. This is obviously good luck." "Maybe," Old Chen said again, and walked back to his house. Now, breaking wild horses ain't work for the faint of heart. It's dangerous business. the kind that separates the men from the boys and sometimes separates both from their senses. Old Chen was too weathered for such work, so the task fell to his son. For 2 weeks, that boy worked dawn to dusk, and he was good at it too. Had a natural way with the animals. He'd successfully broken 9 of the 12 when, on a humid Thursday afternoon, a particularly spirited stallion bucked at just the wrong moment. The crack of bone breaking echoed across the valley like a gunshot. The boy's leg was shattered in 3 places. The doctor came from town, set the leg as best he could, and shook his head grimly. "He'll live," he told old Chen, "but that leg will never be quite right. He'll walk with a limp for the rest of his days." The neighbors returned, because neighbors always do. "Oh, what horrible luck," Mrs. Wang wailed, and this time her tears seemed genuine. "Your poor boy, that leg might never heal properly. If only those horses had never come. This is terrible, just terrible." "The worst luck imaginable," agreed Mr. Huang. "Your only son, crippled, and he's so young. Those cursed horses have brought you nothing but misery." They surrounded old Chen with long faces and sympathetic murmurs, each one absolutely certain that tragedy had struck. Old Chen sat beside his son's bed, watching the boy sleep, his face betraying not a flicker of distress. "Maybe," he said quietly. "Maybe?" The neighbors couldn't believe their ears. "Your son's leg is broken. He may never walk properly again. How can you possibly say, maybe?" "Maybe," old Chen repeated and showed them to the door. The neighbors left muttering about shock and denial, certain that grief had finally cracked old Chen's stoic facade. But friends, here's where this story earns its title as the most important you'll ever hear. 2 weeks later, the drums of war began to beat. The emperor, in his infinite wisdom, or infinite folly, depending on who you asked, had decided that the neighboring province had insulted the dignity of the nation. Conscription officers swept through the countryside like a plague, taking every able-bodied young man they could find. They came through the village like a whirlwind, and when they left, every young man between the ages of 16 and 30 was marching behind them. Every single one. Sons, husbands, brothers, gone in an afternoon. Every young man, that is, except one. The conscription officer had taken one look at old Chen's son, seen the leg still splinted and swollen, watched him struggle to stand, and had shaken his head. "No use to the emperor," he declared, and moved on. The village became a place of weeping. Mrs. Wang sobbed inconsolably. Both her sons had been taken. Mr. Huang aged 10 years in a single day when they marched away with his only grandson. Every household mourned, for everyone knew the truth that no one wanted to speak aloud. Most of these boys would never come home. War was a meat grinder, and young men were the grist. And yet in old Chen's house, his son sat mending harnesses, his healing leg propped up, very much alive and very much home. The neighbors came, but this time they didn't holler or celebrate or lament. They came quietly with hollow eyes and heavy hearts. "Your son's injury," Mr. Huang began, his voice cracking. "It saved his life. What we thought was the worst luck turned out to be the best. You were right all along, Chen. You were right to say, maybe." Old Chen looked at his friend with those deep, knowing eyes. "Maybe," he said. And friends, that's when the real lesson landed like a thunderbolt. Because old Chen understood what most people spend their whole lives never learning. We simply don't know. We don't know if what happens today is good or bad. We don't know if our triumphs will lead to tragedy or our disasters will birth deliverance. We don't know if the door that closes is saving us from a fire or locking us out of paradise. We just don't know. Life isn't a single domino falling. It's an infinite chain of cause and effect, rippling forward and backward through time in ways our small minds can't possibly calculate. What seems like the end of the world today might be the thing you're thanking heaven for tomorrow. What feels like your greatest victory might be setting you up for your hardest fall. Old Chen didn't say maybe because he was simple or didn't care. He said maybe because he was wise enough to know that the story wasn't finished. He understood that judgment requires perspective, and perspective requires distance. And sometimes we don't get enough distance in one lifetime to see the whole picture. Think about your own life for a moment. Haven't you looked back on something you thought was a disaster and realized it was the best thing that ever happened to you? Haven't you celebrated victories that turned bitter? Haven't you walked through doors you thought would lead to paradise, only to find yourself in purgatory? And haven't you been forced down paths you resisted with every fiber of your being, only to discover they led you exactly where you needed to be? The farmer and his son understood the profound truth that we live in the middle of our stories, never at the end. The horse runs away. Maybe that's bad, maybe it's good. The horse has come back. Maybe that's good, maybe it's bad. The leg breaks. Maybe that's tragic, maybe it's salvation. The war comes. Well, you see where this is going. Maybe. Now listen, my friend, because here's what I need you to do with this story. I need you to carry it with you. The next time you lose that job, or miss that train, or get your heart broken, or have that investment go south, I need you to remember old Chen and his son. I need you to take a breath and say, maybe. The next time you get that promotion, or win that prize, or have everything line up just perfect, I need you to hold your celebration with open hands and say, maybe. This isn't about being pessimistic or refusing to feel your feelings. This is about freedom. This is about releasing yourself from the tyranny of having to judge every single thing that happens to you as either catastrophic or magnificent. This is about understanding that you're in the middle of a story so complex, so intricately woven, that you can't possibly see all the threads. Here's your call to action. For the next 7 days, practice saying, maybe. When something happens, good or bad, before you judge it, before you react, just pause and say maybe. See how it feels, see how it changes your anxiety, your gratitude, your whole relationship with life as it unfolds. And then, and this is crucial, share this story with someone who needs it. You know someone right now who's in the middle of what they think is a disaster or a triumph. Tell them about old Chen. Plant that seed of maybe in their heart. The wisdom in this story has survived centuries for a reason. It's survived because it's true, and it's survived because people like you and me keep telling it. So what do you say? Are you ready to live in the maybe? Your whole life is ahead of you, unwritten and unknown. You don't know what happens next. None of us do. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly as it should be. Now go forth and remember, when life throws you a curveball, you've got the wisdom of ages on your side. Just say maybe.